Back with Papa John's Fantasy Football Breakdown, I'm Sawyer and I'm ready to dive into Week 4. The prize for this week is a large one-topping pizza, so the stakes are set high. Let's start off by recapping the picks I gave you last week. Melvin Gordon had a great performance, pulling in 13.8 points, followed by a pretty weak showing by D'Angelo Williams at only 4.4. Come on, D'Angelo, we're all trying to win some free pizza out here. If you looked at Russell Wilson, I told you to sit him, but despite leaving the game early with a leg injury, he still managed to pull in 14 points, which caught me by surprise. But looking at Sammy Watkins, that was a good call to sit, as he was a game-time decision to be inactive due to his ongoing battle with foot pain. My biggest prediction of the weekend was Christine Michael of the Seattle Seahawks. I thought he was going to have a big weekend, and it paid off well. He had 20 carries, 106 yards, and crossed the goal line 2 separate times for the Seahawks, and hopefully led your team to a fantasy victory. Let's look at our picks for this week. We got a whole fresh batch of players that I think you're going to want to keep your eye on. Time for our starts of the week. My number 1 start of the week, Travis Benjamin of the San Diego Chargers. He is leading the Chargers in reception yards and touchdowns since Week 2 after Keenan Allen blew his ACL Week 1. I think he's slated for a huge weekend against a Saints defense that seemingly can't stop anyone, allowing 14 yards per catch this season. Keep in mind that the Saints defense will have to be focused on the talented Melvin Gordon in the backfield, and I think all that in combination leads to Benjamin having a huge week in Week 4. My second pick of the week, C.J. Anderson of the Denver Broncos. Despite being held in check by the Cincinnati Bengals last weekend, only pulling in 37 yards, I think he's slated for a big weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers rank 29th in rush defense, and keep in mind this is the guy that sliced up a talented Panthers defense Week 1. I think C.J. Anderson is going to have a breakout weekend. Put him in your lineup. Now it's time for the sits of the week, and these are the people you want to keep out of your lineups. And speaking of the Buccaneers, my number 1 sit of the week is Mike Evans. I'm taking a little bit of a stretch here because he's performed well so far this season, scoring in all 3 games and garnering the most targets the last 2 weeks of any wideout in the NFL. However, he's slated to go up against a very talented Broncos defense and will be garnering the attention of star cornerback Aqib Talib everywhere he goes. So don't be surprised if you see a big drop-off in production this week from Evans. My second sit, let Odell Beckham Jr. ride the pine. I mean, this guy's incredibly talented, but he's going up against a scary Vikings defense. The Vikings have lost their star quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, and star running back, Adrian Peterson, and they're still 3-0 after taking down the likes of Aaron Rodgers and a star-studded receiving corps, as well as Cam Newton and the Panthers. I think we're going to see this Vikings defense give Odell Beckham fits, and we may even see him lose another fight to an inanimate object. My breakout pick of the week is Terrelle Pryor of the Cleveland Browns. In Week 3, he racked up 144 receiving yards, 21 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, and 35 passing yards. That is an insane performance that literally has not been repeated since Frank Gifford in 1959. And I know what you're thinking. It's easy to ride the bandwagon and pick this guy after a hot performance in Week 3, but hear me out here. Put him in your lineup, give him the start. He's going against a Redskins secondary that's given up over 80 points to wideouts this year. Look for Terrelle Pryor and his versatile scoring opportunities to prove big in Week 4. Last thing of the day, I got Papa John's news. This week, we're rolling out the pan pizza, so get yourself a pan pizza up to 3 toppings for $10. We're still hiring in all categories, so go apply at workforpapajohns.com. Good luck to your fantasy squads. As you know, nothing's guaranteed, but that's the beauty of fantasy, right? Good luck. We'll see you next week.